If you're like me, I hate to read the news in the morning. You think, what is going on? Trump said, I'm going to sue Cruz because Cruz isn't a citizen. He was born in Canada. Well, that means that all the children of all the servicemen and the people in the diplomatic corps, they're not citizens. I mean, it's nonsense. But that kind of fight. And then he says, well, they've been mean to me, and I might run as a third-party candidate. Okay. And then the president says, well, I'm going to fulfill my constitutional responsibility. I'm going to nominate somebody to the Supreme Court. And the the Senate Republicans say, no way. We're not going to kick the balance of that court to the left. We're going to hold the line. And so let's just have a big slowdown in the fight. Don't you hate it? Maybe that's the way we're supposed to live. Do you get sick of this stuff? I do.
I'm getting sick of all the bickering and the fighting between the candidates.
Well, that debate down in South Carolina, it was
ugly.
Awful.
It was really
ugly.
nasty.
You're a liar. You're another liar. These are lies. Oh, my.
When Trump blamed George W. for 9/11, the crowd booed, and that was a Republican crowd. Trump's not doing himself any favors. He needs to kind of back up.
Well, you don't blast the president of your party. Somebody said he's even worse than Michael Moore. I mean, this kind of thing just gets me sick in my stomach. Well, hey, go ahead. We've got good things today.
Yes, it could be an election year showdown between President Obama and Senate Republicans over who will replace the brilliant Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Democrats say President Obama has the right to nominate whoever he wants, but Republicans say the next president should make that decision. Dale Hurd has the story.
President Obama has made it clear that he's ready to fight to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor in due time.
Senate Republicans are uniting behind Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in telling the president, don't bother. They want the next president to nominate Scalia's successor. Republican presidential candidates agree.
I do not believe the president should appoint someone.
I think it's up to Mitch McConnell and everybody else to stop it.
Now Republicans suggest they may not even hold a hearing on President Obama's nominee, no matter who it is. Right. Both Democratic presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders expressed outrage at the Republican position, with Clinton signaling she's ready to make it a campaign issue.
So I'm hoping that we'll get somebody nominated that everybody will say, hey, the only reason to block this is pure partisanship. And so do your duty.
On ABC's This Week program, Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer accused Republicans of obstructionism.
Let him show me the clause that says the president's only president for 3 years. Does this mean we don't hold hearings on anything?
But in 2007, when President George W. Bush still had a year and a half left in his second term, Schumer was saying something else.
That we should not confirm any Bush nominee to the Supreme Court except in extraordinary circumstances.
Some think the president will try to make it tougher for Republicans by nominating a federal judge who has already been confirmed by the Senate. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
That court is lined up 5-4 with a conservative majority. If it goes the other way, it'll be 5-4 liberal, and those people sit for life. So we're not looking at 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. We're looking at maybe 20 or 30 years for whoever the next nominee is. And the Republicans have every right to say we're going to slow walk this thing. We're not going to be rushed. And but Chuck Schumer has flip-flopped, but they don't seem to have any shame. They just lie, and they just don't have any shame. Hey, I learned something yesterday that kind of appalled me, though. You know, Bernie Sanders is running for president.
Is he really?
And he won New Hampshire. But what I didn't know was that Bernie Sanders, until he was 40, was essentially a bum. He had no employment whatsoever. His first paycheck did not come until he was either 39 or 40 years old. And his job then was counting people who had food stamps.
I'm shocked. I had no idea.
Well,
I don't think people know that.
Well,
They do now.
I think they're going to know it in a hurry because a lot of people are going to be talking about it. But yeah, that shocks you, doesn't it? I mean, but he's a professional left winger, and I mean it's amazing. And now the liberal economists are saying, well, look, his plan will run up the budget deficit by 50% or more. I mean, it's a mess. Well,